I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Today is Monday, November 1st, 2021. The time being 5 p.m. The meeting of the Greensburg Board of Works is called to order at this time. Please silence all electronic devices. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. Betsy, would you please call the roll?
Lynn Tebby.
Here.
Rodney King.
Here.
Dee Rust. Jamie Kane.
And I'm here to make quorum as well. I did know that Jamie and Dee would be absent this evening, and Amy is on her way back, hopefully this evening, to join us, so we appreciate Betsy filling in for that. You all should have received a copy of the minutes from October 4th, 2021. Is there any edits, additions, or corrections? If not, we take a motion to approve as presented.
So moved. I can second it, but I can't vote for it because I was absent at that meeting, so I'll have to abstain.
Okay, motion's been made by Rodney, seconded by Glenn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Glenn abstains. The special session from October 21st, 2021, you should have received a copy of those minutes. Any edits, additions, or corrections?
Move approval. Second.
Motion's been made by Glenn, seconded by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, there being no old business, we'll go directly to new business. We do have an addition to make. I guess we need to amend the agenda. Leslie Thackery is here with the Veterans Day Parade. Is there a motion to amend the agenda to add her? Motion's been made by Glenn, seconded by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, Leslie, good evening. Thanks for joining us. You have the annual Veterans Day Parade coming up again this year.
We do. We have changed the day. Instead of it being on Veterans Day, we've listened to all the feedback from veterans themselves, specifically the working veterans. We are requesting that you allow our parade to switch from Veterans Day to the Saturday that will always be closest. So the closest Saturday will be November the 13th, which is just 2 days after Veterans Day. We will gather at Gillenhow parking lot like we have for as long as we've been doing the parade. That's where we will park people, and down the sides of Broadway like we always have. So we don't even request road closures. We kind of have always treated the Veterans Day Parade much like a procession, where we contain our traffic right at 11. We'll get an escort from the police, fire department, sometimes jumps in an ambulance. So I'm already in works with them so that they know traffic issues. We will go from Gillenhow to Game Plan, make a left, go all the way around. We basically stop at the farmer's market. We'll have a short ceremony there, and then at the conclusion of that, we pretty much are out of downtown by 11:30. In the past, that's been an evening parade at 5 o'clock.
Any questions for Leslie? Sounds like a great event once again. Take a motion to approve as presented. Motion's been made by Rodney, seconded by Glenn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Leslie, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Up next, Tonya Downey, Main Street Director for road closures for the Holiday Walk Parade. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, I'm Tonya Downey with Main Street Greensburg. This year we're working with WTRE for the Holiday Walk Parade. Due to schedule conflicts, Kathy could not be here this evening, so I'm presenting the map. After a discussion with the fire and police chief, we have a suggested change. You'll see in your packet there is a Plan B. We would like to change the parade route to start on 425 West Broadway Street, which is First Christian Church. It'll cross Central, and then we'll cross West North Street, turn left on Washington Street, turn left on North Franklin, and end at 302 North Franklin Street, which is Porter Oliver Funeral Home. The parade will start at 5 p.m. and we will have a police escort as well. And thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns you may have.
Chiefs, any further comments or questions? Good for both of you?
Yeah, I think that this one works out a little bit better and helps traffic and emergency response both.
Any other questions? If not, we take a motion to entertain the parade route as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made by Glenn, seconded by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Up next, we have Chief Stoermer with the fire department, and first up is the facility survey. Chief, you want to just introduce this a little bit and your guest, please, and then also what you're expecting from the board this evening.
Good evening. So several months ago, you guys allowed us to partake or undergo a facility survey with the fire station to kind of see where we needed to go in regards to future plans. As that was one of those things on the strategic plan is looking at a facility that is able to be grown into, not just because we've already overgrown this. So through the bid process, we went under contract with our QAW, and tonight I have Vaughn Wilson, who is the lead for public safety, as well as Dustin, and they were the two main that did that, as well as Rogers here as well. He's hiding back. He's their business guy, so we've dealt with him on the business side of things. And so after months and months of working with them and going back and forth, playing email tag and answering questions, they have come up with this facility assessment. It should have been in your packets, even though it was 110 pages. I also have hard copies that I will be able to give to you for something a little more tangible to look at and mark up if so requested. So without any other further ado, I'll turn it over to Vaughn.
Thank you, Chief. All right, hello. Like Chief said, my name is Vaughn Wilson. I'm the public safety design lead for our QAW, and was the one who kind of led this facility assessment. So we have completed and prepared the final report, which, like he mentioned, you should have all received. But if not, we do have several hard copies that we can pass out after this. Since we only have a limited amount of time, this is kind of a condensed version of that report. So I will get right into it. So this is kind of an outline of what we did. We were engaged by you all to study the current and future needs of the fire station. The goals of the study were to determine the 20-year space needs of the fire station by use of a facility assessment. We conceptually define those means by observing 3 different design options. So design option A is to renovate the existing station. Option B is to demolish the existing station and build a new fire station on the existing site. And option C is to build a new station on a separate site. We also determined cost implications for each of those 3 design options and a rough anticipated project implementation schedule. So doing all that, we completed all that, broke it into 4 phases. Phase 1, efficiency evaluation, which we'll walk through. Phase 2, building analysis assessment. Phase 3, recommendations and advisement. And phase 4 is a conceptual design. So initially, we sent the chief and crew questionnaires to fill out and get back to us, basically just how they feel about their station, what works, what doesn't work. We followed up with several meetings to clarify some information and gather some more information. We visited the station, we had walkthroughs, took pictures assessing the existing conditions, which is what you're about to see here. We've also broken this up into each discipline. So we have architectural first, and then we have mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So instead of the 20 to 40 different images in the full report, this is kind of like a top 3 to 5 of the biggest issues that we saw per discipline. So I'll start with architectural. So when we design new stations, we like to separate the stations into what we consider hot and cold zones. Hot zones being the apparatus bay spaces, cold zones being the living quarters, the administrative areas where you work and live primarily. There are contaminants, carcinogens, exhaust in the apparatus bay areas that you don't want to get into your living quarters, right? So we separate those by what we call them airlocks. It's basically just 2 sets of double doors, a vestibule that are sealed and pressurized so that even if the doors are both open, all the air goes out into the apparatus bay and not back in, because you want to keep all that stuff out in the apparatus bay. So with this station, there are only a couple different areas where there's just a set of double doors dividing the apparatus bay areas to the living quarters, which is not great. What you're seeing here in this image is the administrative wing, which doesn't have any separation at all. It's just exposed right into the apparatus bay, which is not ideal. For turnout gear storage, we also like to typically have that equipment in a separate room. Even when the equipment is clean, it's still off gases, those carcinogens and stuff that you don't want to get in your living quarters even more. So we like to have that in a separate room, vented and exhausted outside. And here you're seeing it's just directly into the apparatus bay. The bunk room, there is no privacy, as you can see. There's no separation for men and women, and there's no room for growth. And as you can see, this is one of those double doors that just goes right out into the apparatus bay. Oh, can you go back one? Sorry. I don't know if you can do that. Okay. Okay, well, the previous slide was of a locker room. The locker room is very crowded, to capacity. Again, there's no separation for men and women in the restroom and locker room, so that's a big issue. What you're seeing here is half of an apparatus bay filled with different types of equipment. And this is a general overview of storage in general of the station. It's to capacity, overflowing. There's rooms that are mixed use that shouldn't be, essentially. So that's for architectural, and Dustin here is going to go over the MEP-related items. Sorry, if you want to.
Yep. My name is Dustin Barth. I'm the mechanical design lead at RQAW, and like he's mentioned, MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. We're going to start off with fire protection and plumbing. Looking at the apparatus bay, that's where your existing water service comes in. Currently, if we were to do an addition or renovation, it currently doesn't have a water meter or backflow preventer, so we'd have to add that into the system. Also, there's no fire protection in the system, so to bring up to, which is a safety concern, so anything like that we'd probably want to bring up to code. For the floor drains in the apparatus bay, there's a lot of times oil in these apparatus coming off of the fire trucks, and there's no separation or oil separator from that going into the city sanitary line, so that's an environmental concern. You can see, looking at the existing gas meter, a lot of this stuff is just used or older, so it needs to be replaced. The exterior area, this is kind of a bigger concern. Over time, it's kind of settled, so then now you have ponding, so it creates a site drainage issue, and then there's cracking and erosion from water damage. Looking at all your domestic water fixtures, a lot of them were experiencing clogging, and we couldn't even use them at that time when we were there, which also brings into the question not only the fixtures, but also the entire sanitary line has clogging, might need to be scoped out, determined if it even has any existing life left. Now we're jumping over to mechanical. Looking at the administration area, you have 3 fan coil units, kind of like furnaces, and 3 associated condensing units that serve it. Right now, the newest one is 10 years old, so you're looking at maximum life expectancy of all these units is less than 5 years. Right now, 2 of the condensing units have R22 refrigerant, which is an environmental concern, so if something goes wrong, you'll want to replace those anyways right now. One of the biggest concerns is right now the outside air louvers. You can kind of see in the bottom screen that pink insulation. What there used to be outside air ventilation, but now they've been capped off. So if you were to do any kind of renovation, you'd have to bring this up to code and meet ventilation air just to have good indoor air quality. The apparatus bay. The apparatus bay equipment is actually all in fair condition. You've got gas unit heaters, you have a magnet grip direct vent system, and you have an air scrubber. So this is actually doing a fair job at keeping the firefighters safe right now. But if you were to do any bay expansion, you'd have to upsize the system or add to it. Jumping into electrical. The existing generator is 40 kW. It's been stated that it's not reliable right now. If you were to add on, it's at full capacity right now, so you'd have to upsize the generator with any addition. All the existing panels are also at full capacity, and they're also at their existing lifespan, so we'd recommend replacing that with any kind of alterations. And these are more pictures of panels, ATS, branch panels that are also at full capacity. More of the same. IT, right now, kind of the IT is just crammed in where they had available room. We'd recommend having dedicated IT rooms with dedicated outlets just serving all of this. And these are just two different IT areas that are being used right now. Existing light fixtures are original to the building. With any renovation, we want to upgrade to LED for energy efficiency. And then you're seeing some interior and exterior lights in this picture. And then jumping back to Vaughn.
Okay, so we took all of that information and we created a what this is called an architectural space program. So where's my mouse? So the top half of these of this PDF, we see all the rooms that are currently existing in the station. That white column here in the middle is the existing square feet of what they currently have. This darker column is the proposed square footage of either what we know works, what we've done in the past, or what we've heard from the chief and his crew of what they need. So that is just the rooms currently in the station. And the bottom half are all the rooms that they currently do not have, that they have requested that they need to be operationally efficient, and all the square footages of that. And I cannot zoom in, but essentially they have around 8,000 square feet now, and they need a little shy of 21,000 square feet. So now that we know how much square footage the new station should be, we take a look at those three design options that I mentioned earlier. Again, option A, to renovate the existing station. Option B, to demo the existing station and build a new station on the existing site. Or option C, build a new station on a separate site. So the white, lighter hatched region is the existing station right now. The orange would be an addition or expansion to meet that square footage need of 21,000 square feet. So this is just an option of how we could achieve that. You see on the north side, we could expand the bay a little bit, and then on the southeast corner it would need to be a two-story addition to get to that 21,000 square feet. This option significantly reduces the amount of parking that they need for the station. You can see the alley parking would have some parallel, which is not ideal. The street parking went from diagonal to parallel as well. So this is kind of what you could be seeing with option A. This is to kind of give you a 3D visualization of massing for those spaces to meet that square footage need. Option B, you would demo the station and build a new station on top of that. We think where the current station is probably an ideal location for a new station if we were to build on the existing site. Instead, you would have a floor on top of the apparatus bay, and you'd have a two-story living quarters / administration area just south of that. As you can see, that significantly opens up that parking on the east side and the south side to meet the parking needs of the station. Just as a visualization, this is what it could look like as massing for space needs. And then option C is to create a new station on another site. So this is just a generic site. You need around 2 acres for this configuration that we have. Instead of a 2-story, we could do a single story, which is a little bit cheaper to construct than 2-story. So this is about what it would need to be for that configuration. And then again, just to show you what it would look like massing wise. Ideally, you'd have we'd swap that. The administration would be in the front, generally for kind of a public face, and then living quarters could be in the back. And then we throw a cost at it. It's a kind of a ballpark figure for these design options. But in this top portion, you see option A, about 6.4, option B, 8.4, option C, 7.7. And then toward the bottom here, we break up each option for each discipline, just to kind of give you a better idea of kind of how this breaks out per discipline. And then you can see the bar chart on the right there for each design option. And then we have a construction schedules chart. So all 3 options are within 4 months of each other. There isn't much difference between those construction-wise, but between 14 to 18 months. So, given all that information, we came to a recommendation, RQEW did. So, based on all the information, RQEW recommends that you proceed with design option C, and why is listed for each of the disciplines here. So, side-wise, the existing lot has drainage issues and is not ideal for an addition. The new site will provide adequate room for the most efficient layout. Architecture-wise, option C will provide the most cost-effective solution for a new station as it has the most room for an efficient layout. A 2-story structure is slightly more costly than a single story, and the Greensburg Fire Department will be getting more building from design option C.
And then looking at mechanical, electrical, plumbing, it's actually pretty simple for this. We're kind of recommending for all A, B, and C that you're going to have to replace HVAC. You're going to have to replace much of the infrastructure for plumbing and much of the main distribution for electrical. So it's kind of, you're getting new for all 3 options, but we're recommending C because that gives you, at least you can tailor all the systems to a new build, higher efficiency, and just more up-to-date standards.
And then lastly, given that we've looked at design option C, we kind of took that massing model and created a nice pretty rendering of potentially what that could look like. Obviously, we haven't done any discussions with the chief here about kind of facade, aesthetic, or anything, but we just kind of took a pass at what that could potentially look like. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Chief, anything else before board member question?
No, I would just like to thank these guys for their hard work and diligence, and then open it up to questions for you guys that you may have of them or myself.
Excellent. Excellent job. I read every page. Seriously, I read every page. I'm very impressed with your work.
Thank you.
Okay? Option B. That would be renovating the current facility.
Option A would be renovating.
Okay?
B would demolish.
On the design where we would have to move stuff while you rework the building.
Yes.
Which one is that?
A and B.
That's A and B. So we have no idea what kind of cost we would have if we have to move equipment out, store it, or whether it's going to be stored outside, or we're going to have to build facilities to cover it, and so on. So there's going to be an excess amount of money being spent for a temporary purpose.
So that is included in there. However, I have had discussions since then. Previously, it was going to be a go to use that lot that was highlighted by Vaughn and his team. I have then since had discussion with that, and that is falling through quickly. So we would have to literally take a 1 lane up of the street, basically, or on Walnut and on Michigan, and fence around our stuff. So that makes it very difficult, and that just came about. So those discussions we're beginning to just to have, hey, do we have it? We used to, now we don't. That puts us pretty much back to the drawing board to figure out what do we do.
Okay, and here's the next question. If we choose either one of those first two options, we still have a problem, because what's gonna happen 15 years from now, 20 years from now, if we need to grow and we're still sitting in the same place?
So we will have a larger station. So we will double the square footage, which is what we need. That will leave us some room to grow, but with wise thinking, yes, we're still landlocked. And the amount of parking concerns me. With the parking discussions that we've had throughout the city and various things, decreasing parking and making sure that a city building has enough parking, being a public facility, also concerns me, because we're landlocked at that site.
Being the fact that both of you men are very young, okay, and I'm sure you've worked with other communities in regards to fire stations, okay?
Dr. King, could you slide up a little bit so that your mic lights up? Thanks.
In regards to our station, how does it compare to other stations that have had to be replaced? Or can you make that judgment?
So if you're looking for like examples, we just have one that just went out to bid for Seymour Fire Station. Oh, yeah, that's your report.
So if you're looking for examples, we just did a Seymour Fire Station. They had an existing facility. It was an older one. You're kind of seeing a lot of the same attributes as yours. Theirs ended up being a 15,000 square foot building rather than a 20,000. But we've had, Vaughn right now is working on 4 or 5 fire stations, and RQAW has a history with Eric Wefflin over there. We've done a ton. So we're used to the fire stations is kind of what I'm getting at.
Okay. I'm just saying, I know without a question, we are in need. Okay.
Yeah, I too spent time looking through it carefully, and appreciate the detail that's there. Appreciate that work, because I know that took some time. And initially, as I looked at it, I liked the idea of because notwithstanding the parking, but if we had a chance to utilize that lot, we might have been able to eventually purchase or whatever and utilize it for the parking that we would need. It would be convenient enough, but that does pose a real problem in terms of being able to continue to use the site, and although it probably may not be insurmountable. So I'm glad there's no decision has to be made tonight, because there's really a lot here to ponder and a lot of options and things to consider before the council would make a decision. But so thank you for your information.
Okay. I echo that. Great work. Thank you for the due diligence and for spending time in our facility and looking at that. To the Board of Works, thank you for supporting this endeavor to give us something to actually base decisions on as we move forward. And if you have any questions in the future, you're more than welcome to reach out to the chief. But now this sort of transitions into council's discussion. But we wanted to be sure that the board who approved the study being done received a presentation on that as well. So if there are no other questions, RQAW gentlemen, thank you for being here. We appreciate the time, and we'll move on with our agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Stoermer, you also have a request for an executive session meeting.
That is correct, for personnel interviews to currently fill one spot. I am seeking dates for, well, the sooner the better, so probably within the next 2 weeks of November. I would like to get this done before Thanksgiving. I no longer need the personnel meeting, just the interviews.
Okay. Board, I assume a evening meeting may be best for everyone. on that?
I'm more flexible, but I think our colleagues are not, so, yeah.
Does Wednesday the 10th work? Okay. Let's, is that okay with you, Chief?
Yeah, that's fine. It would be, they're going through polygraph examinations this week, so it's going to be up to interview 6. So be 6 individuals. We have 1 spot, but there is 6 individuals. So if you would like to dwindle that down, I can. If not, I'm planning on bringing you all 6 individuals.
Let's think about that.
Okay.
We can make that decision later.
That's fine.
We will tentatively, pending approval from at least one of the others, if not both, Wednesday the 10th, 5:30 p.m. here at City Hall.
Okay, 5:30. Great, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you.
That's it.
Mark Klosterkemper, Street Commissioner, has quotes to replace a backhoe and salt spreader. Good evening, Mark.
I think your packet should contain quotes. See which one I've got on top, that's the one we'll go with. For the salt spreader, I obtained 3 quotes. Coffenberger Truck Equipment, Mid-States at Greenfield, and Clark Truck Equipment. Same piece of equipment, same options, and we had about $2,000 less on the one. So my recommendation would be that we go with Clark Truck Equipment for the replacement spreader.
What was the amount of the quote?
$15,319.
Availability is fine.
Yes, if not, we can always encumber because you don't know for sure. Everything right now is struggling to get items in.
May I ask a question? Remind me, I thought we did something with the salt spreader, recently, didn't we add one once before, or is that one we got?
Replaced one about a year ago.
Okay.
This one is a 2008, it's 13 years old, and it's not as, everything we buy today is stainless steel, so we don't have to worry about rusting it. This was a mild steel that was bought, I believe, 2007. It was the first tandem axle, and it's just completely, the entire bottom was rotted out.
I know that was the problem with the last one we replaced, okay.
So we're up to now where we've replaced all but 2 of them in the fleet.
Well, unless you have a question, then I would agree that the less expensive one would be the purchase, so I would approve purchase of the Clark Equipment salt spreader.
Okay. The other item.
Hold on. Motion's been made to approve the purchase of that. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Backhoe.
The other item that we've been looking at since early last year and we've got to take care of in the budget is the replacement of our backhoe. We did make it hold together about 2 years ago for about a $12,000 price tag. We've since had RPM machinery down, and it appears it's probably going to need a little more money than that spent on it again. And their recommendation was to look at trading. That's why we've budgeted this in August of 2020. I have a quote from them for a case 580. I have a quote from Caterpillar for a comparable 420 XE, and then I also went to the John Deere dealership, which is Westside Tractor Sales, and got a quote for them for a 410L. That way we were comparing as close as we could with the same specifications and requirements for all. And the net quotes amounts I think you have in front of you, and the low one is RPM machinery at $82,500, and that would be my recommendation for approval.
There was quite a spread on those prices, seemed like.
The Caterpillar is always expensive.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was the most.
It's always expensive.
All right.
I think the John Deere, if you'll notice, the prices were similar. The value
Right.
of what they would give us for trading is what made the difference between those two.
Right.
And that's the case, correct?
That's the case 580 SN, yes.
Well,
The case was the least expensive?
Yes, sir.
Good.
no reason to believe that you can't get by one more year with the current one, so I would agree. I would support your motion, and I would say I would move to purchase the case backhoe.
Second?
Motion's been made by Glenn, seconded by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, City Engineer Ron May is here. We have 2 job descriptions that are included in your packet that Ron and Donna and I have been working on. They are for the GIS coordinator and the GIS technician. There's been a lot of discussion over the last year about these 2 positions and adding a GIS department in a larger capacity. And so we've reimagined, sort of refitted the GIS coordinator and technician roles to be a standalone department and not so much in the wastewater division. The GIS coordinator has been approved in the city council's budget and is in the current rate study for water and wastewater. So Ron, do you want to talk about how we kind of arrived here?
Yes, there were existing job descriptions for the coordinator and I think also for a GIS technician. However, the previous versions were written around the concept that the GIS operation was occurring out of our wastewater utility. And so there was reference in the previous versions to certain wastewater activities that the coordinator and the technician would have. So we arrived at the proposed job descriptions by first starting with our old one and going through and removing language that referred to any activity other than the actual GIS position. And then we obtained some descriptions from some other communities and reviewed those and selected some language that seemed to be pertinent to our situation and incorporated that in. So it is believed that these 2 descriptions are specific to our needs and written for our needs. So it is my recommendation, I think hopefully Donna and the mayor will agree, that you all adopt this as the official job descriptions. The plan going forward is to have this change made by the 1st of January of 22. So we would like to get these job descriptions posted internally and then at the same time go out and seek outside opportunities to find someone that can meet our needs and help us move forward with this.
Make a motion to accept the job descriptions.
And I have no reason to not second that, but before I do, I have a question or 2. May I? You mentioned that we had both job descriptions on file beforehand?
Yes.
But we only had one position filled, correct?
Yes.
But we're making adjustment now where we are basically upgrading may not be the right word, but enhancing the coordinator's position with some further responsibilities, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And the technician, so we're really looking for the coordinator to be with more education, more experience, more responsibilities, correct? And that's what I read in here, it's what I thought, but prior to this, we only had one person on staff, right? Okay, all right, then I will second, in the spirit of the Rodney and Glenn show, I'll second it.
The motion has been made by Rodney, seconded by Glenn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Up next, you have a change order for the Pirate Park entrance, which actually comes as good news.
So about a month ago, the work on the new entrance drop-off area to the Pirate Park Green Space facility was completed, and I have for your consideration this evening a change order that predominantly just adjusts the final quantity. It was a unit price contract, so it adjusts the final quantities to what was included in the work. The one additional piece of work, as you may remember, we installed an intricate system of field tile under the park, and in the course of building these improvements, we got into one of those, so we had to reconstruct that. That was an add of $450, and then when we adjusted all the unit quantities to what was actually incorporated, we end up with a deduct of $1,625.24 for a net total contract amount of $83,424.76. So that is a minor deduct, $1,176 deduct plus or minus some pennies. So I recommend to you that we sign this change order, or that you endorse this change order, and then we can get final payment made to the contractor.
Good news. I will move that we accept the change order for the Pirate Park.
Second.
Motion's been made by Glenn, second by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
Ask you to sign 3 that should be one too
Up next, I have a contract in your packet for a contract with Wade Hamilton of Hamilton Reno LLC. And this is for a project I'm working on with our Stellar Group. It includes a bunch of the nonprofits in the community that have been put together since 2015, Foundation, EDC, Chamber of Commerce, Main Street, Greensburg, and Washington Township, the City of Greensburg, and Tourism. And we all continue to meet every couple weeks to talk about the projects that were identified then, new projects, and then what we're going to be continuing to work on. We also continue to be the group that helps facilitate different engagements in town that work to better the experience when the Ohio Rail experience comes, and etc. We all work really well together, and what I would like to do is bring Mr. Hamilton to a kind of 1.5-part series. The first half being for all the executive directors for that board of how we all work together, work better, work with our boards together. And then the second part being for board members of all of those agencies of how do we collaborate and work outside of our silos. And so I'm requesting that we enter into a contract. It's $3,600. We have appropriated funds already for that, and that we would facilitate that in early January due to some scheduling. but we'll be working over it the next couple months. So, but I'd like to get it in this budget year, if possible. So, questions I can answer on that?
Yes. What is Mr. Hamilton's experience?
He is a kind of well-renowned person that does this, done a ton of work with our YMCA, based out of Indianapolis, and the better person to answer that would have actually been Dawn Lowe. She's the one who recommended me to him. But I've talked to him on the phone a couple times, and we've kind of talked through what we hope to achieve out of this. And I have great confidence in him, and he does pretty highly recommended. But I think this is his business, this is his background, is these sort of group facilitations, board focused, which is an interesting piece as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
So we are going to prepay this, basically, is what we're going to be doing, correct?
Well, we can at least encumber the funds.
Yeah, okay, that's better.
Yes.
All right.
But I have to have a contract this year
Yes,
for
understood.
that to happen.
Yeah, understood. With that in mind, I think it's your turn.
Make a motion to approve.
And I will second.
Motion's been made by Rodney, seconded by Glenn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you very much. Quick update, we have the fitness park ribbon cutting is Saturday, November 13th, 10 a.m., Rebecca Park. If you all recall, this was the project that Ellie Aker and Sam Miller, who interned with us this summer, worked on. And the Decatur County Parks Department has been a fantastic partner with that and has gotten it all put in, and they're going to be home from their respective universities for Thanksgiving, so they're going to be present to help us cut the ribbon on that. I would encourage everyone to join us. Is open to the public, and we'd love to have you. Before we do the retirement recognition, is there anything else?
I guess kind of a question for that the fitness park, or the fitness park. Was there going to be? I mean, I know there's not, or there wasn't maybe a week ago, a covering on it. Is that still in the offing, or is that?
In the summer, we left the cover off due to we couldn't find one that fit in the rest of their budget. It is still Kristen and I's intention to try to find one that we could again get on the docket for December for this year's funds. Now that we kind of have a better idea of where we're going to be at the end of the year, so I'm hopeful that we can still do that. But there isn't one that's already been purchased.
All right, I thought there was a plan to be one, or hoped to be one, and
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We did not find one that fit into their budget,
Gotcha.
so we'll look at the end of the year funding.
Okay.
Yeah. You all received a copy of the claims. If those are acceptable, take a motion to approve the claims as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Glenn, seconded by Rodney. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed. Okay. And this evening, Jeff Smith, we kind of announced this last month, but he has so graciously joined us again this month. He told me the other day he hasn't missed a Board of Works meeting in 23 years, he didn't think. So what was one more? And we're grateful to have Jeff with us. I have a small token of our appreciation for Jeff. And he's been here, obviously, with us for a long time, serving in our wastewater superintendent role, and has served diligently to the community, and we couldn't be more proud. So, Jeff, if you please come up to accept your plaque, and everybody give him a round of applause. Thank you, appreciate it. Oh, yeah. Kristen's always here. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rosie, you gotta get up there and spend
I'll see you at walk.
Thank you, Jeff. Anything else to come before the board? If not, we take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Glenn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Thanks, everyone.